Blessings, blessings, yeah? Yeah, man, just sharing another thought with you, another moment of expression with you. You know that we are in this living experience, and many of us search our experiences to find meaning and worth because it can be a very painful experience being here. And even though a lot of us do have large families or are a part of large families, are building families, there's still a disconnect. And so our sense of self not only rests upon the opinions we are garnering from the experiences we're having with others, but it is based a large part upon how we look at ourselves, how we view our experiences, how we view our inputs and the outputs we get from them. It's a long journey usually if you're planning to be here for a while, but a lot of us don't always make it all the way through to a worthwhile place in this journey. However, some do leave good seeds behind, sometimes in biological offspring progeny, in other times, great works of art. I'm a free thinker, so not to say that I despise reason, truth, or law. I'm a free thinker in that I allowed my thoughts to roam and to have honest experiences, and by such I recognize that all of us won't, hallelujah, fit into the same mold, and each person has a journey, you know, that will take them to wherever ultimately they're planning to be. I started my journey years ago as a poet in the sense as it relates to now, because before I was a poet, I was fixed on becoming an actor because many years of watching Jamaican television with the American movies, I just, was so enthralled, not just with movies, but with acting. And, as I grew into my teenage years, I guess I wasn't so inspired by the acting anymore because the stages in Jamaica were so small. Because when I was a kid, we had the pantomime, which was at the little theater, and, you know, the Ward Theatre, sorry, first place I went to see it was the Ward Theatre. And the Ward Theatre was in downtown Kingston, like in Parade, like in the center of the city. And down in the center of the city right there, it was always hustle and bustle. And I was like maybe 10 or so years old, and there was a school trip, field trip to go on a Sunday to see the pantomime. And I think it was called Roots Man or something like that. I can't quite remember, but if I can look it up, I'll find it. It was quite a while back. And I think it was 86, right? And I remember we were late for the bus, and my mom took me. I remember it was such a beautiful experience, and it kind of stayed with me, so I wanted to be on stage. And I think by some chance there was a family member of mine that was a part of the production Hallelujah team. I think his name was Luke Williams, and my mother took me backstage to meet him, and I got to meet some of the actors as well. So I was very young, so I would remember Luke, but I remember I met the cast, and I was so impressed. And so from there on, I was always interested in acting. So when I went to high school, I wanted to be an actor. I did a lot of drama, improv, and such. I'm really quick in my thoughts on improvisation and just characterization. Hallelujah, I'm very good on it. I'm not into the Stanislavski kind of way of looking at drama or whatever, but I know that there's these kinematics that I discuss on my channel that fashion acting into a certain way. So I didn't really want that. So I decided no stage. I was gonna do movies, and so I started working, at a restaurant, like when I was 20 years old, because I worked before that on the weekends and after high school, during high school, on after school on weekends at a place called Orchid Patch where we just did gardening and a little bit of sales, helping people choose the plants for their house plants, garden plants, and orchids and such. And from there, I went to Guild Trip. The owner, Colin Hilton, he was more artistic and creative. So I was more into, like, the kind of music he would have, in this massive CD player. So I got really enthralled with the music. So I was like, okay, I'm on the path, because when I was watching all those American actors like Shirley Ralph, which is a Jamaican actually, but, on the big American stage, she acted in Moesha. And interestingly, I met her at that restaurant called Guild Trip when I was working there. But the story goes, when I was much younger, and I was always hearing them talk, I was like, whoa, They say they worked at a restaurant, they did this, they did that, always specific things. So I said, you know what? I'm going to work at a restaurant and I'm going to go to art school because, hallelujah, they said that's what they did. So I met her and I was like telling her about it, so exciting, and she was like, encourage me, Jerome, continue your path, to go on and do it. Anyhow, I left there in like 2000 and went to, because I was working there from like 98, 99, and 2 years there. And I left in 2000 and went to Edna Manley, started being interested in my poetry, getting the whole dynamics of the acting and such, and down. But I came back for a year, because school was expensive, and just doing the whole artistic thing. But by August 2001, I made up my mind. I was going on this journey, and I was like, nothing is gonna stop me. And I made a vow to myself on the 5th holiday of November, the year 2000, that I was gonna become a career artist. And this might mean a lot of things to different people, but it means to me, when I said that I'm going to be a career artist, it means that I was going to spend my entire life being an artist. Irregardless of whether I was a commercial artist, a popular artist, or whatever, I was just going to be an artist. And I knew that I had to learn because I had a minimal talent, maybe more poetic, but I really wanted to sing and such. So I made that decision, went to Edna Manley. Didn't really have money to pay for the classes, so I just kind of, let's call it, audited or piloted the classes for a while. Hung around. I knew some of the people, got to be able to be there and got into the essence of what music is. But a lot of people, by my time going through all the different, part-time classes all over the place, UA, UTech, and I got through Pat Ramsey up at UTech Center for Arts, a chance to express my poetry and get into a creative circle that I was always seeing, but didn't know how to get into. And I got into that, and it made my poetry more meaningful and worthwhile. So now, that vow that I made, that happened in 2001, by the way. So that vow that I made in 2000 was beginning to make more sense, and I started getting more serious. I got into the paper 2001. Near the end of 2000, I got on Roots FM, and later on, by 2009, I think I was on there, on 2011, doing a radio show. So that's how far I'd come. But 2000, I had, done my first radio interview on Roots FM. A person by the name of Rastral had interviewed me. And so 2001 onwards, Edna Manley, going through the poetry circles, doing my poetry, being an unusual person because Jamaica does dub poetry, and we know about sonnets and all of those quatrains and limerick poetry and lyrical poetry, but we're more dub, meaning we have rhythm in our poetry and everything. And I didn't grow up doing a dub poetry set, and I did that for a while, and I met Clayton Lynch, end of 2001, and he was a dub poet, and he started showing me some of the things, and I exchanged my, let's say, my slam style intellectual poetry. But remember, I wanted to be an artist, right? And the reason why I got stuck on the poetry is like, when I first started singing like at the Poetry Society, it's like I couldn't keep timing. I just was off key, was so bad. So I was like, okay, let me just go on to learn the music and just start doing the poetry. So 2003 onwards, I was like saying, I'm gonna be a poet. Jah Children, Lynch and Joel Ellis, who formed this group. With Micah Shemaiah Abrams and Bull, a drummer, right? And we was like, yeah, TreeALife, and we're doing our thing, because before we came there, and TreeALife was called Wisdom Tree, or some call it Ganja Tree. I was there, hallelujah, and I was like, whoa, when I saw like all the creatures under the tree, like, I do mean like all the creatures, birds eating from the cherry called clammy cherry, and there was like rats and little lizards and scorpions and all the little creepy crawlers. And the blackbirds are always, hallelujah, like our favorites. They're always there, like, wow. And the egrets, it was just an amazing setup. And so that's what TreeALife got the name. I said, this is a TreeALife. And no one really rejects, because at the time I was just this high-minded person. I just felt like this was my home, and that was my classroom, that was my college. More than just the college itself. And so Jah Children was a group, and we went from that 2003 till 2004, 2005. We had a breaking up, and me and Lynch and X, which is doing Tucker, we call him X Xavier. Him and Clayton Lynch, we call Dub Master. Clayton passed in 2014. But from 2005 there onwards to 2014, 2004 to 2014, it was basically 10 years. We were LSX, and that's how I got into my music, my creativity, and everything. And got to define my personality. Now, in 2011, after going through several years of going through the business, so much fights, not going anywhere, just really doing a lot of poetry, and I plan to do a documentary on this as well too. Hallelujah, that will show for people in a visual sense the journey that I've been on, in a visual sense, from all the stuff that we could gather. Not all, as much as we could gather, because there's a lot of other stuff that, is out there, but it's just hard to put together. But whatever we can, I will put together. So, all the years of doing that, by 2011, I was like busted, tired, broken, fatigued, like totally out of it. And I said to myself, I need to really get my life in order, because spirituality was part of the thing about TreeALife. It wasn't just about like music and creativity. That was like our foundation, but we all had that as the premise to which now our faith came in. Like, how were we going to carry our message? What was our message? Our message was a message of faith and creativity with the faith, like Rastafari culture, Aboriginal culture, African culture. That was what the spiritual part was mixed with in terms of the creativity. And years of going through that, and I was like broken. So I said, my God, I need you. And I was there one Saturday just acting like a really broken fool, but wanting something, and I prayed. And I met this young lady. She came and she was, my friend who's a poet was inviting me to a regular jam session that I had no right to. And he said, two girls are coming, and, one I had kind of heard about before, and then I'd met, but wasn't really too, into her or anything, because she was like, okay, then when I met her friend, I was really like into her friend, and she was into me. We had a wonderful time, and she sparked up interest in getting the poetry out. And so by like 2011, 2012, she brought back a sense of the faith to me and God and the experience. And so that's how I started like getting serious about what I was doing. And by 2012, I was on path. I was still going through whatever was my crazy life. It was no perfect life. It was no good life, because entertainment makes you take onto yourself a lot of dark stuff just for the sake of entertaining and being liked and being popular, because your sense of yourself is being tested, because you want to have value in this life, you want to have a place, you want to have worth, right? I wasn't like the family man. It didn't work that way, that I had children, or it's not, things were coming together like good relationships. I tried, but I was too into my music because it was taking up so much of my time. And again, it was connected to the faith too, so there was a lot of things going on. So by 2012, when this woman came through the faith and was giving me directions back to Christ, and I met another woman, by 2012, my directions were like cleaning up my act, getting myself focused. And I did this little song called Busting Out of the Iron Egg in 2012, and I was like, yeah. By 2013, our group was saying we were going to fashion our new reality to the big leagues, holding on to our foundation, our roots. Unfortunately, in 2014, Dub Master passed, and it kind of threw us into another zone. I continued X. We went abroad for a while, finished up his studies, and I just continued doing my music. I was at Comfort on the Lounge for a while until 2017, just doing my music. Being a part of the dub clubs, the dub schools, and all these little dub Wednesdays, these dub circles of dub shows in Jamaica. We were like where the popular medium was. But 2017, I took a hiatus and I said my faith comes first, and I wanted to get into what really was the essence of God in my life fully, what I started in 2012. And in 2020, I decided to come back, started recording, because me and God had resolved a lot of things, and I felt now was the time. And so I started recording in 2020. Lo and behold, I didn't know by the end of 2020, by November, my father died. And we weren't necessarily having the closest relationship at the time, and then he died, threw a lot of things off. So on my birthday in 2012, my first song was released, the Trot. And that started my official, recording career, becoming Manifest, after years of starting out, doing a little 7-track album with LSX in 2007, I got my international ad at that year, a Malibu banana coconut ad with Bella Bella, and we were like, the ad was played in the Super Bowl at the time. That's how big it was. It was my biggest payday, one-time payday to this day, And so I recorded that album, And so that point in 2017 when I stopped, it was just a lot of memories and energy. And 2020, I should say, not 2017, 2020, when I did that release, it took me back to that, when that was what we did as poets to stay alive and to survive. It was our biggest project. It was my biggest investment in my group and myself. So 2020 now, when Brother Dan just really believed in me that way, and we produced that track, and now I think it's 6 track going, much more to come, and I'm working with more people, and more projects are coming up, and the sense of myself is at a higher level. I've seen the worth of my time in become of value. I kept faith. I had to work hard. So the whole essence of it is, if you're on a journey, the essence of it is you should commit yourself to your journey, commit yourself to your purpose. You will not be able to see everything from where you are, but be true to the self that made that decision as you go along. So one of the things I always remind myself of is that I have to remember what myself, those vows I made, right? That self-sacrifice, sleeping out in the cold, and that's not just a cliche. I literally did in rain, in sleep, out in garrisons, in the gangster, drug infested, gang infested, thug infested, hallelujah, areas of Jamaica, all over this, night in, night out, week in, week out. Sometimes I didn't see my bed for weeks at a time, yeah, to do this, right? Some people thought I was going to lose my mind because I grew up as a sheltered person, but I put my all into it, my all into it, my entire self, my entire being, and my faith, and it brought me forward, hallelujah, through YAHUAH'S, to the Spirit of the Christ. It brought me forward through devotion, through commitment to where I'm at. So my word to you is, be devoted and committed to your purpose. Put your all into it. Your faith and your purpose work together, hand in hand. Let them marry together in perfect harmony. Because the Spirit of the Most High is with us, will lead us to that place we ought to be. Love, light, and blessing. Until next time, this has been the great old reasonings right at the TreeALife. Let's continue on this creative spiritual journey of faith and divine well-being in the highest of energy and the highest of frequency. Blessings, love, light. Continue to like, share, subscribe to the TreeALife experience. Do your awesome best, your most grandest divine experience that all of us can come to see and be in awe of what is so beautiful, and glorify the living God, which gave us all the breath and the creative spirit, the mind and the ability so to do, and give thanks to the people like Brother Singh who stuck the journey out and kept faith with us on the path. So be true and loving. Please.